Now, one thing that's really super important when it comes to marketing your business online is that you need to have really good copy. And what we mean by copy is all the words that you use, from whether it's your website copy to your emails, whatever. And today is an exciting one because I, Jenni Bush, also known as the Equine Business Assistant, if you are new here, am joined by the amazing Gemma Knight, who is a copywriter who specialises in rural and equine business. And we're going to chat all about the key tips that are going to help you to really improve and up-level your business when it comes to the words that you use and your marketing. So are you ready? Let's jump in. You're listening to the Stable Business Podcast. I'm your host, Jenni Bush, here to chat all things equine business with a new episode every week from me or from the best in the biz. Now, don't forget to leave a review and, of course, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss an episode when it drops. So I'm so excited to introduce Gemma to the Stable Business Podcast. So Gemma, you are amazing at all things copy, which is why I wanted to get you on the podcast today, because I know that it's one of those things that equestrian businesses don't really understand or get. And so tell us a little bit more about who you are and what copy actually is.
So thank you so much. Thank you for having me. So I am a copywriter for equestrian and rural business owners, which I love because it's just the best of both worlds. So keeps me in, the equestrian line stuff. I know what my clients are going through, their challenges and things. And copy is really, you've got copy and content writing, and people get them confused sometimes. So I do both. I say I'm a copywriter, but I do both. So content is more like your long form educational stuff, like the blogs, articles, things like that. Your copy is your persuasive selling stuff. So like your sales pages, your website, email marketing, all that sort of stuff. But they can be intertwined, and it's still all the same sort of principles, really. There's no point making it more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah. No, and it's one of those things that a lot of people say to me, like they really, really struggle to find the right words. And I think it's really hard, especially if you're running a business, not just to find the right words, but to actually make them so that they connect and get you the result. Like, do you find that? What's your insight on that?
Yeah, it is really hard. And I think it's because people overthink it too much. So, I mean, I'm always the first to admit I hate writing my own stuff. So I think when you are close to it, it can be harder. But I think a lot of people fall into the trap of writing very formal, and then it sort of never really sounds like them. It doesn't connect to anybody because it is so formal. But I think we've got this thing from like school, all the things we learn, you sort of get into the, and especially if you've had a corporate career, then you are very much in the formal way of writing, which you kind of need to forget all of that really and just try and write as if you're just having a one-to-one conversation with somebody.
Yeah, you almost want it to be so like somebody reads it back. Like a lot of people will read things that I write and they're just like, oh my gosh, I can hear you in my head even as I'm reading this. And that's what you want, because that creates that emotional connection. And from there, I feel you're able to then convert people to clients and things like that more. So what would your tips be to help somebody to achieve that in terms of their copy?
I think the one I always say, and everyone's a bit like, well, how do you do that? Is like, just try and write how you speak. So if there's things that you naturally do or don't say, like if you're somebody that says like a lot, then write as you would talk. So if you are someone that says certain words or key phrases, put that in your copy because it starts to get your personality across. The biggest one is like use contractions, like we're taught at school. It's I will not, and you see it in people's copy. I did not do such and such, but just put I don't, or I didn't, or I'll do that instead of I will, because it reads much more like you're speaking to somebody. So they're sort of like the biggest two. Starting your sentences with things like and but. Again, we were told at school you never start your sentences with those things. But they help, and they help break it up as well and make it easier to understand. I think one of the biggest things is you got to know your audience, you know your ideal client and all that sort of stuff. But just the biggest thing is just make it clear and concise. It doesn't have to be like War and Peace or like a Shakespearean masterpiece. Just, it's better to be nice and clear and concise and direct than loads of waffle or trying to be, create plays on words that don't work. I mean, you're brilliant at that. If you can do it and it works, like, you're great at that, and that's great. But if that doesn't come naturally to you, don't worry about it. Like, there's no point forcing things that just aren't naturally you. So
don't try to be over clever with it. Or I think, do you think people get stuck in that sort of perfectionism, and that's what stops it? So when you think about copy, like, it is so important, especially if you're looking to grow your business online, because I know we do a lot of stuff that's like audio and video, but it's the copy that helps to create that SEO, and also we read websites, etc. But from that, we're able to then create extra pieces like your social media content or whatever. And one of the things that I know we were talking about last night is one of the pages that always annoys me when I see business owners is the about page. Like, and I know we're on the same page about this. And when you're building a website, what are your tips on, like, somebody writing their own about page?
Oh, yeah, we were talking about this. So lots of people write their about page about them. And yes, it is about you, but it should never, we see it a lot where people are like, I have a master's degree I have 20 years experience, so I can help you. But your about page needs to be predominantly about your ideal client, because everyone's in it for themselves. When they come to your website, they want to know, how are you going to help me? Obviously, they want to know a bit about you, but they predominantly want to know, what are you going to do for them? How are you going to help them? So it needs to be about them, that you see them, you identify their problems, you've got the key to their success, and this is how you've got it, because you've got all your experience and everything. So it's sort of trying to weave all your knowledge and experience into that story. So it's almost more of a story than I'm amazing. And that's why we all hate talking about it. I mean, I hate doing my own stuff. I hate it. But it's got to be much more about your customer and what they're going to get from it.
Yeah. And what results you can get them, and why you can do that, and what about you means that you can get that result for them, rather than, because otherwise it just sends everybody to sleep, doesn't it? And it's like, no, I can't do that. So I know that one of the things that you do is that you've got your copy club. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so it's aimed at, because not everybody can work with a copywriter. Like, lots of people would like to, but they're just not at that stage. And some people, even if they could, they just don't want to. So it's aimed at people that either enjoy writing it and want the accountability, or they just haven't got a clue where to start and they want to do their own or need to do their own. So we have a few sessions a month. We have like a monthly planning where we plan all our content for the month. So we look at everything they've got coming up, ideally over like 3 months. We break it down so they know exactly how many emails they need to do, blogs, socials, all that sort of stuff. Then we have a write your blog with me and a write your email session with me, which they've all said has been really helpful. So we actually go through a bit like your sessions that you do, like your Finish Strong Fridays and things. So I sort of talk them through, I time them so that by the end they have a first draft. Even if it's only in bullet point, they've got a framework to then work on. And then we do things like, I do a copy review. So I give them, they can submit a piece of copy every month, whether it's website, sales page, some socials, whatever it is. And I give them a one-on-one review. And then the sort of stuff like prompts, hooks, call to actions, things like that, general bits and copy tips and stuff throughout the month. And at some point, I'll be getting guest speakers and stuff in, but at some point.
Because I guess a lot of it as well, building confidence around their copy, and that comes from actually like doing action and doing it well, and have, like, when you've got that support and accountability, I guess for anybody that's in it, it's going to make such a massive difference.
Yeah, because we have an accountability. So it's like, I say copy related because that's what I can help with, but I'm like, whatever it is, if you just need to be held accountable to something this week, let me know and I'll help you. But yeah, it's really, everyone seems to be enjoying it because it's only been running for like, I think it was December was the first month. So it's always a bit like, oh, this is a bit scary. But it seems to be achieving everything I hoped it would be. Everyone's quite engaged. People have been sharing stuff because it's nice sometimes because it is a mixture of equestrian and rural people. So everyone's in the same sort of field. So you got that bit of feedback from each other. So yeah, it's good. So it's nice, that you've got other people that might be in have a different view, because just because I do the copy, someone else might go, oh, but actually I would have identified with something else. So yeah, it's definitely aimed at supporting and sort of not a course, but like just teaching bits and pieces as we go without the pressure.
Yeah.
We've all got enough pressure.
Without having to think, oh, I've got to go and learn all this and do all that. It's like you learn
Yeah,
those things as you go in little small bite-sized chunks, which is really sort of
yeah.
useful. And I think what's key, again, like what a lot of equine business owners struggle with, is even if they do find somebody to write stuff for them, like and do that copywriting for them, you need to be an equestrian, don't you, in order to actually get it right. Otherwise, you're going to end up with somebody that's going to write you some things that just aren't going to connect. Like, have you seen anything that's made you go, "Oh my goodness"?
You see, I've seen some things that have gone out where people have done AI stuff and not really checked it, and you think, oh, that doesn't really, that's a bit weird. And then you see some brilliant things in the press, don't you? Was it Zara when she was eventing or something, and they said about a horse having a horned hat on its head or
Yeah.
something? And it's like, and you think, oh my God, that's like massively high, that's people that are doing this like for businesses.
Yeah.
I'm just little old freelance me, but you think, how did that get missed? Like, oh my goodness. So yeah, you do see some
Yeah.
really funny
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
People do. So it's really important you actually find somebody that can actually put things into the right terminology. Because so and even if it's just US UK, sometimes that can be sort of a difference as well, in the way that those things are. And AI I found awful. Don't know about you for doing equestrian copy, because it does, especially for the UK, it does love to go with everything starts with attention equestrians or hello attention
Horse
horse owners or
riders.
something like that. Like, yeah. And then it talks about
Yeah.
a lot of Americanized things like putting your horse in a stall or trail riding and yeah, so it's not a good tip. But like, would you have any tips for somebody on how they could actually use AI a little bit more to help with their copy?
Yeah, I mean, I use it for brainstorming and I use it for research. Um, it can be good for copy, but you've got to put the time into it. So, and it's all knowing what
Yeah.
sort of prompts there are. I know a couple of people that are really hot on the AI stuff, that are really good and do workshops and stuff on it. I haven't delved into it that much because I just write it myself. But I think if you're using it for research, you can ask it to like act like a psychologist, like a marketing expert, and write you something, and using the right prompts. I tend to use it for research, for understanding like ideal clients and stuff. It can be really good for that. And it can be really good for like, if you want it to say outline a blog, if like you wanted to write a blog on something, you can ask it to write an outline. I find it just good for generating ideas. And sometimes it does come up with little things that you think, although it's written horrendously, it sparks an idea in your head. But
Yeah.
I think if you really struggle, ask it to write you something, but then go in and tweak it. Just please don't publish it straight away. Just,
Yeah, don't,
go through it and then change it into, oh, well, I
yeah.
wouldn't say that, but I'd say this. So it can be a really good starting point. I mean, some people love it. And if you've got the time, you can keep putting your stuff back into it and it will learn to talk like you and stuff.
Yeah.
but it's how much time
I
do you
find
want to
it just
spend on
so
it.
frustrating though when I use it. Yeah. I tend to just use it for like sometimes I'll copy what I've written and get it to proofread it for me, or I'll say, "Can you add emojis in?" And then it will just add the
Yeah,
emojis, but keep my words. I have to tell it to keep my words, otherwise it will just turn around and put something out that's really, really rubbish. And I think that's so
yeah,
important. We want to get that connection, because that connection is what gets the conversion. So we've got to be making sure that whatever we're putting out there, whether that's emails, blogs, social media content, it's got to connect in an emotional way, which I think AI is never going to manage, if I'm honest,
yeah.
to the
I'd
same level as
100%
people.
agree.
So,
Yeah,
so what would you say like your top tips are for equestrians that are looking to improve their copywriting or their social media captions? Or
I think make sure you understand it. Always, I hate all this ideal client stuff, but it is know your ideal client, because quite often we think we know them, and actually you're not always 100% clear. Like for a long time, I thought I want, you sort of tend to have this reflection of yourself, don't you? But actually, that's not always quite right. Your ideal client might actually be like 5 years ahead of you, which means you're talking to a totally different audience. So I think once you know exactly who you're talking to and what your objective is, whether that's your blog, socials, or whatever it is, that's sort of halfway there, because you need to know where you're going to send them or what it is you want to get out of it, whether it's sales, educational and stuff. But I think just try and have a chat with them one-on-one. So it's always you and them, not we, not there, it's you and them having a chat really. So use your contractions, cut out words that you don't need, and really it's better to be clear and concise. So like when you edit brutally. I always say to people in the club, like, just get your ideas down, bullet point everything down, don't worry about your grammar and all of that stuff at the beginning, just get your ideas out and then you can start writing. But then when you go back and edit a few hours or a day later, be really brutal, because all the time you've got your objective in your mind of what you want to achieve, you suddenly realize that you've written loads of stuff that is totally irrelevant, even if you take it out and use it for a different post. But nice and clear and concise and to the point, like the more you start waffling, the more you're going to lose them. And like you say, the emotion, I think people are scared to play on people's pain points, and it doesn't always have to be bad. It can be the really good emotions, can't it? But like you say, AI will never tap into that emotion like we can, and that's what draws people, makes the difference. So, and if you're good at storytelling, use your stories. People love to be drawn into a story and see, you go from disaster all the way through to like the transformation and success, and that's what people want to see, isn't it? The transformation of what you can do
and it
for
helps
them.
people to just be relatable. I know one of the stories that I used to talk about is when I was a kid and how I was never allowed to go riding as a child, but I would be the kid that would put on riding clothes every weekend. That I saved up, and I bought myself some joggers and a pair of those awful rubber boots. Those really, really like awful rubber boots. I still cringe at the idea of getting them off my feet. They used to create that suction that you'd never get off. And I'll often talk
I
about
was
that,
going to
and so
say,
many
if you
people
could get
relate
them
to
off.
that, because it kind of, yeah, because they were just crazy. Carrier bags were always the answer. But yeah, those little stories are things that are genius that only you can give, and that gives that insight into you and your personality and how you are. Because people buy from people, don't they? So they need to know you.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And that's
so
why it's
that's
so
so
important.
important. So yeah. Yeah, it is. It's just so important. So the other thing I was going to talk to you about, so I was going to put you on the spot now, Gemma, is that we've been working together a little bit of a while, and I've been helping you in your business. Could you tell everybody like how that's been, like what it's been like to work with me?
Oh, it's been so good, and I would 100% recommend anyone that is, because we can't always work anyone that's like, oh, I'm not sure, sitting on the fence, I would just say just go for it, because it's been brilliant. And I can't attend all the sessions, which is a bit annoying, but you've helped me so much in that whilst I know I can do the writing, for myself, I find it really hard, and I come across these blocks, and you're always there to help me and be like, what about this? Or what about this? And, you know, you give me ideas. You've been so supportive. Like the coaching sessions, to me, that is like amazing. That to me is like the best thing about the whole membership. But everything else is amazing too. You know, like the Fridays, they're brilliant. When I can attend them, they massively make me realise, oh my God, I did actually do all this stuff. And oh, look, I'm going to do all this amazing stuff. So I just think the whole thing, and the little group of people, you know, I can pop into the group. There's always support there. Yeah, I think it's just great. Just anyone that's thinking about it, definitely go for it. I don't, you know, I think I've been there quite a while now, haven't I? So,
I think so.
just,
I've lost track of when you joined. It's been that long.
Hub. I know, because I started in the hub, and then I was like, right, I need to be like a proper grown up and do proper business stuff now. So, yeah, it's massively helped me. And like the copy club, I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for our coaching sessions. So, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, you've had a few kicks really up the backside from me, haven't you? Like, come on, Gemma, let's do it. Let's do it.
So way. It's like, yeah, you give the nicest shove, so bloody get on and do it. So yeah, anyone thinking about it, do it. And if anyone's
we all need that person that actually can, build us up.
Yeah, because you're always positive, but in the nicest possible way. If I was to say something that was a ridiculous idea, I know you would very nicely say, well, what about doing this instead? So I know you wouldn't just let me go off and do something ridiculous. And you've given me some amazing things that I think, oh my God, I never would have thought of that. Like yesterday when we were on the call and we were talking about the masterclass, it's like, I never would have thought of that ever. So that's been really good. But I mean, I know it can be quite daunting sometimes joining a membership, but if anyone ever wanted to talk to me, I'd always be happy to talk to them. It's a no-brainer. Anyone thinking about it, just do it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And the idea is, for me, I want people like you that are going to say, do you know what, this is brilliant. And I hope that you see that when I've got a client, I do care and I do want to see you succeed no matter what. And even when you have those wobbles, I'm like, lean on me. It's what I'm here for. Don't feel like, oh, sorry, Jenny, I can't message you today because I'm feeling rough and business is rubbish. It's like, no, that's when you need me more. That's when you need to get messaging me and say, right, I'm stuck. And at whatever level I'm working with somebody, I want them to feel that. Like, do you think that comes across?
I was just thinking, I think I've had lots of wobbles. So yeah, definitely, it definitely comes across. And there's been times where I've come along to the calls and it's like, I don't even know why I'm there. And I've said to you, haven't I? Like, I don't even know why I'm here because I haven't got anything in particular, but I just need some sort of accountability or shove, or I don't know what I need, but I'm here. And then at the end of the call, it's like, oh, okay, I can do this. I've got some focus. I know what I'm doing. And it's like the world is a better place by the time the call's ended. So, yeah, definitely. And you've got so many solutions to, you know, it's not just a one size fits all, which I really like, because some people it's all, you know, this is the only way, whereas you've always got lots of different ideas for one thing, because we're not all the same, are we? Like, I hate doing videos.
No, and I don't want to teach somebody to run my business, which is why I don't often teach what I will teach some of the things that I do, but that's not my only thing that I can teach you. Like, I've got lots of different ways that I try and tap into. If I were running your business, what would I do? And I teach that. And as you know, there's lots of different sorts of business owners in there, from coaches to you with copy, from retail, all sorts. And hopefully they all feel the same and get the same amount of support. So is there anything that you'd like to add today, or anything that you'd like to just finish the podcast with, or like your final, like your key top tip for everybody or something?
God, I think I've waffled quite a lot. I think one of the things maybe that we didn't talk about with the top tips, I won't repeat them all, everything we've already said, but one of the things that I didn't mention was when you're writing in your emails, socials, whatever it is, if you're talking about one of your services or your products, is talk about the benefits, not the features. I think it's quite easy to be, sorry if you can hear all that banging, that's my dog in the background being really naughty. We talk about the features like, oh, you'll get this call, that call, you'll get, it's whatever it is you're selling. But we forget to talk about the features of, it has this, and this is why it's so amazing. Like, won't be able to think of it. It's a bit like selling a bed and saying,
transformation.
Yeah. I was going to give a really rubbish analogy.
Similar, actually. I had somebody send me through their sales copy, and I was like, you just listed out everything that you've included. Nobody cares about that. They care about what's the transformation. And so I think that's so key. It's in that copy. They've got to talk about why that matters, like why that feature matters, rather in terms of benefits, but also in terms of transformation, because that's why people buy and move people. So that's a really, really useful tip, Gemma. That's really useful. Hopefully everybody will have got some good ahas from this podcast episode. So if somebody wanted to find you, where do they need to go?
So I'm pretty much mainly on Facebook at the moment. Facebook and Instagram are the two main places that you'll find me. I think I'm Gemma Knight copywriter at both, or just my personal Facebook, which I think is the same. I think I changed the link the other day, but everything's Gemma Knight copywriter. If you put that in, you'll definitely find me. Website's gemmanight.co.uk. But anyone who wants to connect, that'd be amazing. But Facebook, Instagram, never on LinkedIn, and just message me really.
And you can help them either with joining your copy club, or you can actually do the copy for them if they're just like, I just need to outsource this to somebody that is going to get it and is going to be able to put it in the right words in the right voice, so that people read it and go, oh my goodness, this actually sounds like me. So do look up Gemma, and of course if you can't find it, I'll pop the links in the show notes, but also you're welcome to message me and go, what's Gemma's link, and I'll send it to you as well. But thank you so much for joining me today. I know it was quite a scary thought of coming on the podcast, but it's been brilliant, Gemma, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see what's next for you. So thank you so much.
Oh, me too. Thank you. Thank you so much.